What's up, Vikings fans? I'm your host for today's show, Patrick Seatman. Breaking news, the Minnesota Vikings decided to select Jordan Addison, the receiver out of USC, with the number 23 overall pick in the NFL draft. And we'll say this before we get started, I was absolutely terrified the Vikings were going to take Will Levis there at 23. He's been the big name faller so far in the NFL draft, but they decided to take Jordan Addison, and that fires me up. I think he's going to be a great complimentary piece next to a guy like Justin Jefferson. He's 21 years old, coming out of his junior year out of USC. And the scouting report we have done by our Tom Downey, he was the number 3 overall receiver, according to Tom. He was number 31 overall. He's got inside, outside ability and route running chops. He's fantastic route runner. He does lack size and physicality to his game, but he was fantastic at Pittsburgh, and he followed up with a really good year at USC. The thing I love most about Addison, he ran a different role at USC in comparison to previous year at Pittsburgh. Jordan Addison pairing up with Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne, making it a pretty exciting wide receiver room in Minnesota. I got a lot more thoughts on all this and more, but grade the pick. Give me your grade in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F. Joey Porter Jr., Deonte Banks were both still on the board. The Vikings could have went cornerback there, but I'm happy with their decision to go get Jordan Addison. Go get your guy. I'm going to give it a B+ so far, but let me know. This will be a pin comment on today's video. Grade the pick, A, B, C, D, or F. Jordan Addison, though, I can't wait to see him in this Vikings offense. You got Justin Jefferson, obviously the best wide receiver in the NFL. And I think the best part about this move is the versatility that he offers you. I think with Justin Jefferson, a very versatile corner in the NFL, or versatile wide receiver in the NFL, he can play in the slot. He can play on the outside. Very similar to a guy like Jordan Addison. He can play in the slot, but he can also play on the outside. I think it's going to be a big-time pickup for this Vikings offense. And what he did last season at USC, he did have just over 870 yards for the Trojans last season with 8 touchdowns and 14.8 yards per catch for the Trojans. I think he was great last year. Like you said, he's a very sticky route runner. He's great in and out of cuts. Jordan Addison, welcome to the Minnesota Vikings. Going to be interesting to see how the Vikings use him right away, or if it'll be KJ Osborne at the 2 spot. But this is what Dan Brugger from The Athletic had to say about Jordan Addison when he's going over his scouting combine or just scouting him in general. He says Addison's lack of ideal size and play strength are legitimate concerns, but he is a very loose athlete with crafty routes and vertical speed to work all 3 levels. Projecting best in the slot, he has NFL starting talent from day one. And I agree. I think he will be playing a lot of slot for the Minnesota Vikings. And it's interesting because the Vikings did re-sign C.J. Ham. They did bring in Josh Oliver, a blocking tight end. So I thought maybe that the Vikings would be going to more power run sets and more just kind of heavier personnel packages with 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers maybe, and that second wide receiver being KJ Osborne. Turns out that the Vikings are going to roll out Jordan Addison as the wide receiver too. I'll get into all this and more, but guys, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Every single pick for the Minnesota Vikings that is made, I will be giving you guys my reaction to the pick and more. Maybe they take a guy like a Hendon Hooker, a quarterback in the 3rd round. Maybe they trade up to the 2nd round. They don't have a pick currently, but I'll keep you guys in the loop. Hit that subscribe button. Whatever it may be, I'll be your go-to guy for the Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Addison, I like the pick. Like I said, I gave this a B+ initially. The only reason why I wouldn't give it a full A is because the fact that Deonte Banks and Joey Porter Jr. were on the board. I think Deonte Banks and Joey Porter, I think they were probably more a position or player of need for the Vikings, and maybe Jordan Addison was just higher on their board than a guy like Joey Porter or Deonte Banks. But this guy, he's not going to blow you away with his athleticism. I mean, he only did run a 4.49 40-yard dash, and the first 10-yard split was at 1.7, only a 34-inch vertical leap, and a 10-foot 2-inch broad jump. So he's not the freakiest athlete in the world, but it was still a position of need for the Minnesota Vikings at that wide receiver 2 spot. I'm just shocked that they didn't go towards a guy like KJ Osborne and slot him into the wide receiver 2. But overall, I think it's a good move. I do think the Vikings draft needs now, I think it's got to be corner in rounds 3. I think you look at a guy like a Corey Trice. You maybe look at another guy later round because you're going to have to address this cornerback position. I obviously listed wide receiver as a need for the Vikings. I'm just shocked they went wide receiver over corner, considering you had 2 corners there for the Vikings to select. But obviously the Vikings only do have 5 total picks in this draft and only 2 in the top 100. So if they strike out on a guy like Corey Trice, it's going to be tough. But if we're looking at what the Vikings did this offseason, you did bring in a guy like Byron Murphy. Obviously, it was great to adjust the cornerback room. But the Vikings, dead last in cap space, as you see on the top of your screen right there. That's not too good for the Vikes. And they also did lose key corners, such as a Patrick Peterson and then also a Duke Shelley to the Las Vegas Raiders. They did not bring either of those 2 guys back. So I'm curious to see how the Minnesota Vikings will treat this cornerback position. I don't really know if they're gonna have to take one for sure in round 3. It depends on what they're gonna do in rounds 4, 5, and 6. But Jordan Addison is the pick. I'm super excited to welcome him to the Minnesota Vikings. I think he's going to be a great piece next to Justin Jefferson. Very curious to see how Kevin O'Connell can kind of hop in his bag with this kind of arsenal of weapons that he has now for his kind of disposal on the offensive side of the football. You obviously do have Jefferson. Now you can roll out Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Josh Oliver if you're running a little 22 personnel. Vikings, a ton of decisions to be made. And I will say this, keep your eyes out for a Dalvin Cook or a Zadarius Smith trade in day 2 of the NFL draft. Maybe the Vikings try to hop back in to the 2nd round and get another corner that they like. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. Keep your eyes out, like I said, a guy like Corey Trice. He's a 6'3 corner out of Purdue. That's who I would want the Vikings to draft next. But you guys can let me know. Let me know who you guys want the Vikings to draft next. I think it's Corey Trice. I think he's going to be the corner there. I don't think a guy like maybe a Julius Brents, DJ Turner. You got a lot of other corner options there in the draft. But Jordan Addison, man, what a pick. What a pick by Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. I love to see it out of the second-year GM now. No trades within the division this year. The Vikings did trade twice in the division last season, but I like the pick of Jordan Addison. I'm super excited. Him and Justin Jefferson, that's going to be a great duo. And as always, guys, make sure you guys subscribe. Stay in the loop. Like I said, I will be your go-to Minnesota Vikings YouTube channel for the rest of the NFL draft. No matter what they go in rounds 3, rounds 4, round 5, whatever it may be, I got you covered. I think the Vikings are going to have to take a corner eventually. Corey Trice out of Purdue, that's my guy. Keep your eyes out on him at 89 overall for the Vikings' 3rd round pick. But guys, subscribe, stay in the loop. We'll keep you covered with it all. See you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.